right, good morning. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners agenda setting work session for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. It's 9:05 a.m. My name is Ty Mentor, Chair of the Board. Vice Chair Commissioner Wayne Fournier on Zoom, Commissioner Harry Edwards here, and Commissioner Emily Klaus on Zoom. County Manager Leonard Hernandez, Assistant County Managers Robin Campbell, Rob Gelder, Josh Cummings, and public virtual attendance available on Thurston County YouTube channel. Session is scheduled until 10:30, and we're going to be reviewing the meeting agenda for next Tuesday, September 3rd, and then taking care of some standing items and one commissioner item. So first up is to review next week's proposed board agenda. Meeting to be called to order at 2 p.m. per usual, and pledge of allegiance to be led by Commissioner Edwards. Approval of the agenda and a presentation for First Responders Day. Clerk of the Board, Amy Davis.
Yeah, for this proclamation, I think we've invited John O'Callaghan from the city of Tenino and have an invite out to the sheriff's office, and I'll be working with Ben, who is not here today, to extend the invite to his group as well.
Okay. This is good. If folks remember, we blended this proclamation, which was one related to kind of a 9/11 sort of a, memorial or remembrance, and then City of Tenino has a First Responders Day proclamation and picnic, and we sort of merged the two and then invited the cities in. So hopefully Mr. O'Callaghan will join us and other guests. Any questions for Amy on this one? Okay. Opportunity for public to address the board, and then county manager's update. Anything you're preparing to present?
Just may give an update about our that we are having conversations with City of Centralia based on the public comment, but that's the only item that I'm tracking.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a good one to update folks on. If there's no questions there, we'll go to the consent agenda. Items 3A through 3H. First up is auditor request to cancel outstanding warrants. Auditor Mary Hall. To see.
She is with us. She was on earlier, but I know we have Diana Benson here also. Do you want to come up?
Yeah, please have Diana address that. Thanks. I'm kind of multitasking. I don't know how long I'll be able to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Auditor.
Auditor Hall mentioned that she has working on the election items, so she's pretty busy over, but wanted to join us. And
I see you're online.
good morning, Diana. Good to have you.
So this is an annual process that Financial Services does by law. Anyone that has not cashed their warrant, which is the same as a county check, they go through this process to report this item. It's very procedural and what we do every year. Does anyone have any questions on it?
Okay, we have 211 warrants totaling $18,000. Questions from the board?
What's the biggest one?
A lot of them are jury payments. They're small checks.
Yeah. Jury duty and stuff.
Yes. If you want the exact
No,
rate, the
no,
largest
no,
amount, I can
no.
research that for you, but I thought you meant the most frequent uncashed.
Okay. There's no questions. We're good.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Easy.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, 3B, Superior Court, Equine Assisted Recovery Support Services.
If we could go ahead and skip this one, then we'll come back to it. Superior Court sometimes has conflicts, but we'll follow up and see where they're at.
That's a renewal of something we've done
Yeah.
several times before. Next up is treasurer item, sale of tax title property via private negotiation to Parker Dolza.
Good morning.
Gavin, County Treasurer.
Thank you. Thank you for your time this morning. So We've negotiated a sale agreement with an individual who's also bought other tax title properties for a lot that is, it's down there around the valley, Cougar Valley, Cougar Mountain Airport and all that. There's an old convenience store that has since been abandoned. Anyway, the individual wants to purchase this for $3,000. We've had it on the books since 1978. It is, this is a long plat, so it doesn't have a name, but there's several lots in there, and this one is on the opposite side of the creek from the road. And so no water lines cross that. The lot is way too small to support a well and septic. It's only 0.59 acres. And so we negotiated the sale agreement, and we would love to have your approval.
Questions for Jeff?
I guess my normal question would be, did we have an opportunity for adjoining property owners to bid on this?
Yeah, they've had every opportunity, the same
Well, yeah,
opportunity.
it's
as
been
this.
open, but were they ever advised by either a posting or notification?
No, because like I've said before, you and I go back and forth on that. I feel that is treating certain people with favor and benefit over others, and I can't.
I have a disagreement on that. I don't believe that it's treating anybody extra fairly if we at least post a notice on a property that's gonna be disposed of. I think I know the property that's been talked about. It is an abandoned store, isn't it?
No, this is the one over on the other side of the creek. It's on the back side of that neighborhood.
Okay. But the adjoining property owners have, it's not been posted. I guess that's the main thing.
No, it
Good
is
enough.
not.
That's fine. I would like to have an opportunity to go out and at least tell the community there's something going on and see if they're interested. There is a community there.
There is, but remember now, we've got a negotiated agreement.
Well, that
Legally,
doesn't,
I can't renegotiate.
well, I've heard that before, but we've gotten around that about 3 different times now. And I just don't think it's fair to the taxpayers to get a lesser amount if there's a larger amount available and an adjoining property owner is likely to bid on it. And if they have no knowledge, nobody's following the computer about this property or that property. If we don't post it, they'll never know. So it's kind of like a backroom deal is my position on it.
Any comments from the board? So your proposal, do you want this week to talk to them? or
Yes,
do you want-
yeah.
So
I'd
we
like
can
to remove
revisit it next Tuesday? And if
Sure,
you
let
can
me
make
see,
a-
let me see if I can get a hold of some folks and see what the,
Okay, so we'll keep
maybe
it
it's
as
an
put.
absolute nothing.
Commissioner Edwards may make a suggestion next week to remove it, if he feels that's, anything else from the board? For Jeff? Treasurer? Okay, thank you.
So just to be clear on process here, since we've got this negotiated agreement, right now, if you pull it from the agenda, we can't do anything because this deal is hanging in limbo. So it either needs to be approved or not.
Well, I'm not even.
I'm just talking about for process. I'm not trying to get in your way. I'm just talking about the process of what needs to happen legally for me.
We have pulled these before until we've been able to look into them. On one occasion, the county bought one of those properties that became an asset that the county felt they could use it. Others adjoining property owners did buy it, canceled it out. I don't see why the treasurer actually is here if we have no authority over it. We either have authority or not. That's why we need legal here when we're having some of these discussions. I'm just asking this be postponed.
Can I see Commissioner Claus's hand, but can I ask a follow-up? Treasurer, so I just want to make sure I understand your comment. So if it got, let's just say that next week Commissioner Edwards wasn't quite ready and we agreed, like, give him more time or whatever, we pulled it back. You're just saying, are you saying we couldn't put it back on, or are you saying we just couldn't, like, you can't You can't go back and negotiate extra, additional terms.
I can't do anything else because this deal has been negotiated and it's hanging in the air, so to speak.
Yeah.
So if there's other action to be taken, I need this put to bed, either approved or disapproved. Just pulling it from the agenda does
Oh, I
not
see what
do
you're
that
saying.
for
If
me.
we wanted to do something else, we'd have to take an action to
Yes.
not approve this.
Yes.
Okay, I understand that.
I would like to hear that from legal, because I don't think that's true. We have been able to do exactly what I'm proposing on several different occasions. I commend the treasurer for disposing of these properties. I just think it has to be done correctly.
Commissioner Klaus?
Thank you. You may have just asked a really similar question to what I was going to ask Chair. But in terms of the timeline for the treasurer, if we were to come back next Tuesday for agenda setting and be ready to make a decision on this either way, would that hold up the process? I mean, assuming that we go ahead and approve it, would that impact your timeline at all if we were to keep this on the agenda for next week and talk about it at the agenda setting?
No, that's fine. That process is just fine. Like I said, it's where it unlocks the property, because right now the property's locked up because the sale has been negotiated. And so legally, it's how, do you unlock it to have another option?
Okay, that makes sense. I'll just say my comment on this is that I understand Commissioner Edwards' concern about making sure it's a fair process for everybody in the community. But I also think we've been over this several times now, and it seems really unfair to go into a negotiation with somebody and get that ready to sign and then pull it out from under them. So I would appreciate either a work session, which I feel like we had, but maybe I'm mistaken, or potentially, I don't know if there's some sort of notification that could go out to the commissioners just via email, like, hey, we're getting ready to, look into a contract with so-and-so. Do you have any comments before we move forward? That way we're not just kind of pulling agreements out from underneath community members, because that also does not seem to be fair.
Yeah, and I agree. When we get to the end of a process and everybody thinks there's something that has been negotiated, pulling it out does seem a little unfair. But right now, the authority to manage these properties and get them sold is in my office. And so, that's the process I've chosen to use.
I totally agree with Commissioner Klaus, and that's kind of why when we were talking about this, we have had a couple work sessions on it, and at one point, we were trying to kind of get, I was interested in getting out in front of the process, so you didn't have that situation, and so that we talked about putting a notice up, and I don't know, we talked about different ideas, and I can't remember where we just landed. It sounds like we didn't really agree on anything different than what we'd done in the past.
We actually agreed on something. We agreed that Central Services was going to send out notices of all the kind of properties that were up for sale under the tax title. And I think Central Services was working through that process, is the last I heard for it, and working with the treasurer's office. So not sure exactly where we're at.
Correct.
Yes.
So that didn't happen here. It's something we're still looking for the future to do.
So we got to the point where I believe Bruce was working with Jeff on a letter that would
Which
go
we've
out.
done.
Yep, the letter was ready to go there, and Bruce is in the audience. Perhaps he could say a little more. There were discussions about how
Bruce, why don't you join us up
often-
at the table?
Yep.
Good morning and welcome. Congratulations.
Probably a little bit flat-footed.
Happy to talk. Bruce Roba, Interim Central Services Director,
I'm
yes.
assuming this probably conversation happened maybe before my arrival. 'Cause I don't
Yes.
recall.
Yeah,
Quite a while
so
ago.
This has been
Okay.
going on for some time.
Bruce, you want to kind of enlighten us as to the conversation and where things are at from your perspective?
Yes, so Central Services is ready to assist with the mailing process, and the thing that we're still working out with the treasurer's office is the volume. Can't do all at once, it would create too much of a workload on the treasurer's office, so we're working to establish a appropriate level of mailings per month.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe what we can do offline is have Josh, Jeff, and you work together so we can just put together a bit of an overview for the commissioners as a follow-up to the direction they provided. And thank you, Commissioner Mejia, for your institutional memory on this, because I think it'll help with resolving some of the, what you said, Commissioner Menser, about getting out in front of this with a notice of some sort.
Yeah, that way, I mean, we're trying to hit what Commissioner Edwards is trying to do, but also hit what Commissioner Klaus and I in the past have been concerned about pulling something at the last minute after you've already sort of, somebody thought they had an agreement. That doesn't feel good from like county relations and community relations perspective either.
Right, you know, and I mean, like I said, I think if the commissioners in Central Services want to, you know, send these letters out, I think that's fine. I don't have any issue with that. But to, you know, when somebody has taken the time to research a property and contact my office and say, hey, I'd like to buy this, to say, no, wait, we've got to talk to Joe Smith that owns the property next door first, that doesn't seem right to me at all.
So I think it sounds like you've worked on a compromise in the previous discussions.
We just haven't quite gotten to the finish line.
But we're close, and so we'll pick this up. And thank you, Bruce, for your hard work. Glad you're here this morning on another topic, so it's timely for you to be here. But appreciate your interim leadership there, and we'll work with our team to get something out.
Commissioner Edwards?
I guess there's just one more piece of this follow-up, maybe for the county manager. Jeff and I did try to work something out where he would have the sole authority. It would not even need to come in front of the board, because I thought that was actually a better solution. And the prosecuting attorney's office said, no, we had to have the ultimate authority on this. So that's what we're up against. So I appreciate Jeff's attempt at trying to dispose of these properties that aren't paying taxes. I just want to get the most we can possibly get, I feel, an adjoining property owner. Enhancing an existing property, paid more property taxes. So it's better all in all, in my estimation. Probably not in Jeff's, but I would appreciate having legal at least review this discussion. I don't see anybody on right now. We're one of the very few, if any, governmental bodies that I'm aware of that does not have legal representation when we are having our meetings. And I think it's a travesty, but, you know, I'm just one commissioner.
Well, I do have a legal opinion from Rick Peters that states exactly what I stated.
All I know is we're not bound by any of it. We can do what we feel we need to do at the time, so.
Sounds like you got a budget ask for this fall for prosecuting attorney.
Getting somebody here all the time,
Signed
that's right.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I think we
Thank
figured out
you.
where we're at.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce.
That was a good update, actually, so. glad
Chair,
that
we
came
have
out.
Sabrina from Superior Court. She'll be able
Perfect.
to-
Sabrina, well, good morning. We had an item, equine assisted recovery support services, Heart Strides contract, and can you give us an overview of that?
Yes, commissioners, good morning, and sorry for my tardiness. I was in drug court staffing this morning. Our Heart Strides request is a sole source contract. We had initially kind of hopped on the coattails of another Superior Court contract that was with juvenile court and family in juvenile court. And so we participated in the tail end of that and found that we were getting some really good results. So I went this last year at a sole source and worked with Heart Strides around a proposal to bring Heart Strides to our family recovery court and our DUI drug court program. So this contract is we're gonna try and pull together 2 cohorts in this last few months of this year and then a full contract next year. For system engagement, of our drug court and family treatment court participants. This is a TSP, funded contract, and it's shared between the family treatment court budget and the DUI short budget. And we're making up for some of that, those funds in the family treatment court by way of, not having a contract with, one of the, therapists that had been contracted previously.
Okay, your audio is a little rough, but I'll ask if commissioners have questions to follow up on. Nope. Okay, sounds like we got it. Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you.
Okay, jumping back to D, item D, contract amendment with Capital Consulting.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Gelder, Assistant County Manager. The item that is for the board's consideration next week is an amendment to our contract with Capital Consulting. Capital Consulting, as you are aware, is the consulting firm. Deborah Munguia is the principal there that has provided us at the county with some stellar service over the past several years when it comes to our state level legislative affairs. And this would be an extension or amendment to that contract, extending it for the next biennium through the end of 2026. With a small amount of increase in the compensation on an annual basis of not to exceed, that is going, proposed to go up by $2,352. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
If you've ever gone with Deborah to a meeting with a legislator and seen the relationships that she has, and the respect that she has, you know, I'm always really impressed with her. And so, just throw that out there.
She's great to work with, very proactive. So, yeah.
Any questions from the board? All right. Very good. Let's go to item E, emergency services, amendments to emergency medical services council bylaws.
Commissioners, good morning. Again, Rob Gelder, Assistant County Manager. I'm stepping in for Ben this morning, who is working on his paramedic certification, which he needs to kind of renew that. And it requires a few little intubations, apparently. And good thing it's not me doing that part of it, so I'd rather cover this item. As you will recall, the bylaws have gone through the Emergency Management Council for review, and it's been approved unanimously. It was pushed a couple of weeks after the last time it came to the board to be able to address some outstanding questions or concerns, and I would turn that to, or look to Commissioner Fournier for confirmation that his concerns were able to be addressed. It's my understanding that he had a chance to connect with some other fire commissioners, et cetera. So hopefully we are in a good spot for moving forward. But just as a high level flyover is keeping the membership of the.
He's giving his thumbs up, Rob.
Oh, great. Thank you, Commissioner.
And Commissioner Fournier, he also gave a report on that yesterday.
Oh, awesome. Great. And I was not here for that, so I appreciate it. So unless there's any other questions, the item stands as presented.
Okay, anything in the bylaws? Went over that a few times. All right, perfect. Let's go on to item F, HR, Board of Equalization's request to convene.
So one from HR here. Let's, if we can skip this one while we go down, I'll have someone join chair. We'll jump on that.
Okay. I'm sorry, did you want me to move?
Yeah, if you can move to the next one. We'll circle back.
Next up is G, Information Technology, Annual Renewal of Duo Multi-Factor Authentication. Sherry Oak.
Good morning. Morning, Commissioner. Sherry Ilg, IT Director. And for your consideration, I have the renewal of our agreement for Duo, which is our multi-factor authentication tool. It provides the second factor for cybersecurity for all of our systems, logins, server logins, etc. We have grown quite a bit since we first implemented Duo, which is where we wanted to be. And now we have every county employee plus a number of non-county employees who access our systems are using Duo multi-factor. So it's a win. It's expensive, but it's a win.
Good work in keeping our county secure with IT. How does this factor into that?
The Duo multi-factor, the best type of cybersecurity is one that requires more than just a user ID and a password. There are three options: something you know, something you have, and something you are. You know your login ID and password. Something you have could be your multi-factor, your second factor, either the UB key that you tap on or something that you tap on your phone. That's something you have. Something you are is a fingerprint or an eye scan, and we're not quite there yet. So for this particular multi-factor, you can use your phone, the UB key, and plus your login ID and password.
But we're gonna have more ability like iris scan or fingerprints at a later date.
I mean, that's not in my immediate future plans, but I'm sure it'll happen someday.
I know that I get into my phone using my thumbprint.
Yeah. But not for our computers here. Storing people's personal data is a slippery slope, so we're not ready to do that. The multi-factor can be when you log in and you have to hit the prompt on your phone, plus your login ID and password. That's 2, and that's all that's recommended is 2.
Mejia?
I was just going to volunteer to opt out of Duo if we need to save some money.
Nice try, Commissioner. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Next up is 3H, Public Health and Social Services, HUD Certifying Officer.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Alex Perks, Affordable Housing Program Manager. I am here this morning to ask you to appoint the Interim Director of Public Health and Social Services to be the authorized agent to act in all official matters in connection with the application of and Thurston County's participation in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Community Development Block Grant, and Home Investment Partnership Act programs. So the letter that we have provided today is asking that the certifying officer be named as just the Director of Public Health. In the past, historically, we have had letters sent to HUD that ask the certifying officer to be named specifically. So the current one that we have on file with HUD authorizes David Bain. So this request will just update our letter so it'll specifically be the Director of Public Health, so we don't have to come back to you regularly as new directors are appointed. So this certifying officer just approves the director to be able to sign environmental reviews and other HUD-related documents.
Okay, sounds straightforward. Any questions from the board? Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Think we're good to go. Keep going.
Keep going.
Okay.
On number F, Chair, looks like Ruth is out of office, so we're seeing if we can get a pinch hitter for her to come and explain the item. So this one isn't urgent, could be pulled if we needed, but we can go to 4A if you'd like.
Doesn't sound controversial.
It's not really.
They need the votes.
So the board has to authorize the Board of Equalization to conduct their meetings. And this is the commissioner's approval for them to begin their work.
But I can't think of any reason why we wouldn't.
There's never been any.
We can make sure that someone's here for next Tuesday.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Okay.
To give us any questions or maybe a little thumbnail of the history, unless commissioners have heartburn about that. Okay. Good. Yeah, okay, because that's very straightforward. So we'll go to 4A, Central Services, Purchase Agreement with 1111 Israel Road, LLC.
And, board members, this one we're very excited about, and it's moving along. We are in the process of reviewing final documents for this purchase. We are not sure we're gonna be done in time, and so this one's on the agenda just to give us time. I appreciate the team working so hard to. come on in?
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Maria's here. But on 4A, we're gonna see what we can do to move this along, but this one may get pulled in the next few days if we don't have all the information together, and it'll just show up at the next available agenda meeting.
Okay, any questions on 4A? Any more? Okay, and then just to double back to 3F, Board of Equalization's request to convene is on the agenda, and I mean, it just sounds straightforward, but
Right, real quick, it's a routine matter that before the Board of Equalization convenes hearings, that they get permission from the commissioners to do so. It's a yearly request. And if you have more specific questions, I apologize, Ruth couldn't be here today. But I can make sure that she's here, or that if there's specific questions that I can answer them next week.
anything for Ruth through Maria? I think we're good to go. Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks, Maria. Okay, so that'll take us on to 4B. Resolution and call for sealed bids for Thurston County Mottman 1 Ballot Processing Center, Project 25617.
And as Tony's making his way up, just want to give a special thanks to Tony for his hard work moving this item forward. Great job on this project. Tony, I'll hand over to you.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Managers. My name's Tony Shaw, Capital Project Manager on this project. Some of you may recall that we're here. A couple years ago, we had decided as a county that we needed to update the ballot processing center. They had reached their life expectancy as far as the space needs and security, and we went out to start the design process and fairly quickly realized we just didn't have enough money and capacity to do it right. And so we decided to pivot as a county, shift that funding over to voter services, which turned out to be a really great project for the auditors group. During that time frame, the public safety sales tax was approved, which enabled us to come back and say, we think we have enough money. And so we quickly picked up the team with the architect, the engineer, Homeland Security, and the auditors group. We've spent a tremendous amount of time figuring out what are their needs, but also how do we incorporate the most modern and robust security we can possible, since we now have funding to do it properly. And we are now at the point where we are ready to go out to bid. So this is an exciting time. Myself and the team has had the opportunity to go up and tour King County, which has kind of traditionally been the model for ballot processing. And we're confident through that and what we've learned that we're excited that we think we're going to be able to kind of be at a level where people might start looking at us now. And so we're excited to get this out to bid. There is a lot of excitement in the building community locally through some relationships and projects that I think we're going to get some solid bidding. So yeah, I'm here for any questions you guys might have.
We have Auditor Hall. I just give you opportunity, Auditor, if you wanted to say anything additional about this. Not sure if this is the one you're here for. Okay, I know she was busy with other things.
Diana Benson's here as well.
Anything you need to add?
So Commissioners, Diana Benson, Chief Deputy Auditor, on behalf of Auditor Hall, who's working on the recount, thank you. I just wanted to take this opportunity on her behalf to say what a pleasure it has been to work with project managers. Tony and Rick have been great. Voter Services was very beneficial for us to be in there for the primary to smooth some things out for the general. It went very well. I appreciate all of your support. The challenge next year is going to be that we are conducting elections during this project. So the moving items around and staying secure while we are doing construction is one of the communication exercises that we have for sure. So we are very close. It is exciting. to know that this is going to be completed, which will come very quickly, 2025.
So the wrinkles we had with the other tenants and all that stuff, that's all been kind of sorted through?
It's in process, to be frank. We are at a place where I think everybody understands where the leasing is for all of the two tenants that remain. There has been a working relationship with them as far as the site needs, but that will kind of evolve as we go through, especially with the general election, because we know the site's going to be packed. And so there is active conversation with the leases, with Auditor Hall and Diana and that group. So there shouldn't be any surprises of what to expect, but we got to walk through that exercise when we get there. So.
We also do have some additional grant funds that we are working with Central Services as the awarding agency to use for the capital project. You know, Auditor Hall is always asking anyone and everyone for grant dollars, and as she sees opportunities, and Stacy has been helping with that. We have another opportunity that's coming up that we're looking for a potential application that may come Robin's way to apply. Related to security and accessibility is what we're working on. So, did we miss anything?
No. Central Services appreciates the opportunity to support Auditor Hall and keeping our elections safe and secure. So thank you for your good work.
It's went surprisingly well so far, maybe not surprisingly well. It's went better than we anticipated, moving quickly from Building 5. I chuckle at the short-term nature that Robin and I discussed of how long we were going to be there forever, our forever home, and we really appreciate the commissioners and everyone working together to get elections all the way done in one place.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Very welcome.
Public Works is next. 5A is resolution and call for sealed bids for Gate Belmore Trail Glacier Heritage Project.
Got to try to one-up that exciting news, but I think we got a good one of our own in Public Works with the first phase of the Gate Belmore Trail. Public Works is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to call for sealed bids to construct 2.7 miles of trail on decommissioned railroad. The trail will be approximately 10 feet wide and will accommodate non-motorized use, a paved access point, and a parking area with 21 stalls. As I mentioned, this is the first phase of the trail. The eventual trail will go all the way from Grand Mound all the way up to Olympia. The estimated construction cost is $1.8 million. The funding will come from a combination of REAP funding and park impact fees.
Park impact fees and REAP 1. REAP 1, 2.
I'm sorry, did I say 1?
Oh. REAP funding, you probably said, okay. Questions on that? That is an exciting one. We're at the trail event and I saw the paperwork that you guys have for a trail, and it shows, you know, kind of it shows the full extent of what is planned, and it's very impressive.
And so I know it's hard to describe where this is. If everybody knows where the glacial heritage is, so the trail will start at 152nd, which is at the south end, and will go 2.7 miles north. The trailhead will be about 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles. That's a good project right there. 1,000 feet into the newly constructed trail, kind of across from where the Weyerhaeuser Tree Farm is.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Looks like there's no questions on that. Appreciate it. You're here for the next one.
I'm here for
You're
the
not
next
going
one.
anywhere.
I'm not going. I'm staying right
Okay,
here.
5B, resolution and call for sealed bids for Pleasant Glade Elementary Pedestrian Improvements Project.
Just as exciting. Public Works is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to call for sealed bids for a contract to construct pedestrian improvements on Abernathy Road. This project was prioritized in the transportation plan through our Safe Routes to Schools program and it will improve safety and mobility of children walking and biking to Pleasant Glade Elementary School. Other improvements include the addition of street lighting, stormwater treatment, and we'll be improving ADA sidewalk ramps as well. The estimated construction cost is $1.3 million. 1.07 of that will come from the state's Safe Throughout the Schools grant funding. The remainder, $230,000, will come from the county road fund.
And that's a school that's in county?
Yep.
How many schools do we have that are not in municipalities, do you know?
Oh, you put me on the spot. I'll tell you what, I'll come back next week with that factoid for you.
Any questions for Matt? Other questions on Pleasant Glade project?
I should give a shout out to environmental health. As part of this project, environmental health is actually working with the students and faculty at Pleasant Glade Elementary on encouraging kids to bike and walk to school. So it's kind of a joint effort with Public Works that we build the facilities, and then environmental health encourages kids to walk and bike to school.
Okay.
We got probably 10 schools in the unincorporated area.
It's more than I would have thought.
I'll have that number for you for sure.
Okay. Those Rochester schools for. Okay, seeing no other hands on that one. That is the end of the business agenda. We have commissioner reports, so that will wrap up review of the September 3rd agenda. We will have a board meeting, even though it's the day after Labor Day, because that's a new quirk to our schedule. So in years past, we didn't always have that meeting, but we will. So be ready for that. And next up is proclamations and awards.
Davis, clerk of the board. The combined proclamation for the Day of Remembrance in honor of 9/11 and in recognition of first responders is in draft form, but a final will be mailed out to you this week. Again, a few different groups are invited, and we expect good attendance. A quick note on the next two. For National Hispanic Heritage Month, I plan to reach out this week to the Washington State Commission on Hispanic Affairs and invite their representatives. I'm happy to extend the invite if there are any other specific groups any commissioners had in mind. And of course, the auditor's office will be in attendance for National Voter Registration Day.
Okay. Questions on the 3 September, Commissioner Mejia?
For the other one, there are other groups that we should probably invite, Amy, and I'm happy to touch base with you with the Hispanic Heritage Month.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Amy. Let's go to advisory boards and commissions.
I do not have any new information for advisory boards or commissions. Commissioner
Okay.
Mejia has her hand up.
Yeah, Commissioner Mejia.
Thank you. Actually, I do have an item, and I forgot to bring it up last time, but I want the board to consider the extension. So when we appointed, when we did for the Board of Health, the city appointments, we cut off the first one, I think it was September. And right now, Councilmember Vasquez's term is about to expire. And it really doesn't make sense to try to have someone come in from the city of Olympia to cover the, next 3 months. So I guess my request from the Board of County Commissioners is, can we extend her term until the end of the year, and then at that point have someone from the city of Olympia come in at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a motion or not, but it makes sense.
It makes sense, especially since she's our chair, but,
Yeah, right.
but I guess I would.
Ought to have somebody from legal here advising us, possibly.
Yeah, that's one I think we do need to.
I think Rob may have some information. We have had the opportunity to review the code around the Board of Health, and there's no time to date or month in terms of, it was just triggered by the expansion of the Board of Health originally in 2022. So it just, the code references the rotational nature of from going from Lacey to Olympia to Tumwater, but does not say what the months would be in which that would be extended. So this would be a one-time extension. And the other piece, and thank you, Commissioner, for bringing this up, was that most of the cities do their committee assignments at the beginning of each year. So it would actually align better with sort of that operational nature for each of the jurisdictions as they identify someone to represent them on the Board of Health.
Yeah, I know that that's true, and as long as we have that latitude under the statutes or code, then it seems to make sense. So you believe that we could just make a motion
We would pull together a resolution to do that extension, to have that on the board.
Commissioner Fournier?
Sorry, I think Rob answered my question, and it was just, Robin's done a great job. I guess the answer is no, but I'd love to see her stay, but.
That part we would require a change to county code, because there is a 2-year term for each one of that city seat that's rotational right now. So this would extend that by 3 months for just this one time.
Okay.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but we've never really chewed on how the commissioners might want to respond to the legislation that was passed.
That's something that, Commissioner, we're working on. I think Rob and the team put together some thoughts. We'll be sharing that with you shortly.
Okay. Chances are, I think if all goes well, potentially October timeframe, maybe to noodle on it.
Commissioner Edwards?
I know we made the original appointments back when the legislation required it, but now is it up to the new Board of Health to make those? No.
No, it's the county code, and it continues to be the legislative authority of the county,
okay.
Especially because it is and continues to be a department of the county as opposed to a district.
So Rob, the change with, I'm sorry, Chair, the change on extending 3 months would have to be a resolution, so that's something that we bring to the board?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So is there concurrence from the board to direct staff to prepare that resolution to extend? Okay, I see Commissioner Close. Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Mejia.
I guess my other request is that we do it as soon as possible. If that's, I know that this is kind of coming in at the last hour, but I just, especially since we do have coming Board of Health, it would be weird, right, to have a chair with an expired term, knowing that that's the intent. So if we could get this done at our next meeting, I would greatly appreciate it. That way there's no hiccups in the process.
I believe we can accomplish that.
Luckily, whatever happens, we have an experienced vice chair ready to step in at any moment. Thank you, Commissioner Mejia. Okay, sounds like we're good on that. So let's go to Commissioner item, which is courthouse campus project.
Thank you, Commissioners. We had our meeting and executive session with the court stakeholder group. I think that went well in communicating information and getting input from them. I think where we're at now is looking to commissioners on a decision point. Do we continue with the $50 million remodel as it is in motion? Right now, it's on a 60-day pause. And so we would be looking to see if the commissioners wanted us to kick that back up and forward, or based on the subcommittee and the findings from the subcommittee efforts, input from the courts of stakeholders, would the commissioners like us to explore a long-term option utilizing some of the concepts that have been discussed to date?
I see a thumb up from Commissioner Edwards. Commissioner Klaus, thumb. Commissioner Mejia, go ahead.
Thank you. I just have a question really quick. So I'm wondering if this information has been shared with all of the stakeholders up on the Hill. I know we had a session with part of them, but I'm wondering, has the plan been communicated with all of them?
All of the stakeholders, maybe if I could ask clarification, when you say the plan, you're referring to the decision point of moving away from the remodel, but please.
No, I'm sorry. It wasn't very clear on my part. I guess with the potential options, right? We discussed it with part of our stakeholders, right? And the board was there. And I'm wondering, has this been discussed with the other part of our stakeholders, the prosecutor, the clerk, public defense director, pretrial services director?
What was discussed in executive session has not been discussed with the other stakeholders, partly because that is a conceptual plan, and the outworking of that may look very different to what will eventually be brought forward. And I think where we're at right now is the staff need to go back and do two things. We need to dial in what the long-term process would look like, determining if an RFP or some type of hybrid approach is required. And then we would engage with all the stakeholders about the interim approach for space needs. All the stakeholders have been approached individually, but we would have a joint session with everybody. In that joint session, we can definitely cover some of the long-term ideas that we would be looking at.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good question.
So Commissioner Mejia, Commissioner Fournier, I guess. Commissioner Mejia is a thumbs up. Thumbs up. So can you restate the question again? Is this about pausing, or does this also include the pivot toward the scaled back reconfiguration that was presented? I know we've had three presentations of different, and then there's like three things, right? There's the pausing what we're doing, there's the recapitulated hilltop plan, and then there's the moving forward on a
well said.
Long-term plan.
So what we are looking for direction from the board today is, I wouldn't even call it a pause. I would say that we would be pivoting away from the $50 million remodel.
Permanently pause.
Permanently, yeah, because we cannot keep that in limbo and still think that we're going to be able to accomplish that. The second item is that we would then engage on the reconfiguration of the current Hilltop campus as was presented, the concept, but we need to do a lot more dialing in with all the stakeholders about space needs and how the space would be configured. And then the third part would be staff orientating what the long-term approach would be. That would be something we bring back to the board once we have time to lay it out, because there's a concept out there about how we would approach it, but we would have to lay out the steps, get board input, get stakeholder input, and then get board direction on those components. But to do that was going to take time, and we wouldn't want to keep the $50 million remodel in abeyance, because we're losing momentum and even value of what we can do with that $50 million.
Commissioner Edwards.
But we're still going to continue with like roof replacement, and things that are going to keep the building dry, right?
Correct, and that was something that the board approved at last meeting, was the roof replacement that Tom brought forward.
So if I understand what you're laying out, this thumbs up that we're giving, this direction is pretty much it's akin to a final decision on the original $50 million remodel. There are details to be worked out on what's the alternative, and then the other thing is still really more to come in terms of a future plan. I mean, we're directing that continue development, but
yes,
there'd be many more decision points.
Many more decision points about, we would come back to you and say, here's how we think we need to get out of the gate on that long-term plan. what a review process would look like, the exploratory process, so that we can bring you back options within the concepts that you have seen already.
Okay. With that clarification, I'm also a thumb up, so it's like we're in agreement.
Great.
And for me, I mean, just, it was really important to hear the court's reaction to the ideas, and I did have to leave one of the sessions early, but I immediately later that day had a 90-minute meeting with this Prying Judges Superior Court, so we talked a lot about that, and I'm confident that there's enthusiasm and support for where we're headed, so.
Yeah, we'll continue the dialogue with board direction input on including stakeholders as we formulate how do we go from this concept to mapping out what that long-term plan and the steps to get there would look like.
Okay. Is that topic in a nutshell?
It's a significant decision.
Okay, that's the end of the agenda. Is there any other commissioner items that board members would like to bring up this morning? We don't have any other board sessions today together. And tomorrow we'll be back to deal with our quasi-judicial land use issue. And that's at 9 or? 9, okay. So you've got thick packets to review or read this afternoon if you haven't already. So all of that will be adjourned.